Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round, and today we're doing things a little differently, which is a term I know that is very much overused by YouTubers when they want to slightly modify what they're doing and make you think this is something new and unique, but this truly is. I know that I mostly do movie reviews and things like that on this channel, but I wanted to do something, well, different. So the Fangoria Chainsaw Award nominations just came out. This is an award show run by Fangoria, the horror magazine, of course. And in a world where horror never gets any respect from things like the Oscars, Golden Globes, Emmys, you name the award show, horror doesn't really get any respect. It's really just things like the Saturn Awards because they have horror categories and things like the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards that recognize horror for what it is. I've always respected that. I've always loved that. The nominations have just been announced and I thought it'd be fun to vote in them. You can do it too. So, for the first time ever, I'm going to be doing a video where I go through the nominations. I'm going to share my screen, show you which ones I'm picking, kind of argue for or against why I'm picking each one. I would love for you guys to join me in the comments. Who do you think I should vote for each one? What are your favorites? You can even vote in it yourselves. I'll put a link in the description of where you can vote in the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards. Nominations close on this date, and the awards will be shown. I don't know if they have an exact date yet, but they'll be shown later this year on Shudder. They always do it on the live stream. So, without further ado, let's jump into this and let's vote for some horror movies. All right, so here we are on Fangoria's page. Sinners and the Substance lead the pack. I always thought it was weird the way that they run the dates on this, where like Sinners is a 2025 movie and Substance is 2024. It says right here though, they represent the best of horror releases from July 2024 to June 2025. So it's kind of like mid-year to mid-year, which is weird. I'm used to other award shows. It's just calendar year. It's like everything released in 2024 or everything released in 2025. This one's a little different, and as a result, it's gonna have stuff that was, nominated for Oscars last year, as well as stuff that like just came out or is still playing in theaters right now, including Sinners, which still has some showtimes despite being available on HBO Max. We're gonna scroll down past all these ads and get in there and make your voice heard. Okay, here we are. This is the portal. Vote now. And remember, guys, you can do this. It's literally just fangoria.com/vote. I'll put a link to the description. I'll put a link to it in the description. Okay, so it says right here, we do not have to vote in every category. We can select didn't watch/skip. I hope I don't have to do that. I know I probably haven't seen every single thing nominated, but I'm going to compromise that if I've seen the majority of nominees, I will vote for it. If a majority I have not seen, I'm going to skip it. That's kind of the rule I'm going to go with, and we'll see how true I stay to it. I have to type in my name, make this all official, email address. Yes, that is the official Halloween year-round email address. Feel free to send me a message. Nothing weird or creepy, or at least if it's weird or creepy, make it interesting. All right. Oh, best wide release. I think like 7 movies on here that I love. Right off the bat, 28 years later, I didn't love. See my review for, more about that. Bring Her Back was in May, Final Destination, Bloodlines, Heretic, Long Legs, Nosferatu, Sinners, Strange Darling, The Substance, The Ugly Stepsister. I am happy to say I have seen every single one of these movies. It's tough because you've got what was my favorite horror movie of 2024, Nosferatu, and you've got my current favorite horror movie of 2025, Sinners, and they're both vampire movies. I loved The Substance. I loved Long Legs. I really liked Heretic and Final Destination Bloodlines. And I liked The Ugly Stepsister and 20 Years Later. Did I miss any? I don't. This is tough. It's probably going to get tougher from here. As much as I love Nosferatu and I think it was a masterpiece, I think Sinners felt more groundbreaking, and I'm gonna have to go with Sinners. I know everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, why are you going with Sinners? That's the most popular one." I know that it's like the buzzy one right now. That doesn't change the fact that it's an amazing movie that just is my favorite thing currently. And right now, I did my list of the top 10 horror movies of the year so far. It was number one. Unless something miraculous happens, I have no doubt it will still be number one at the end of the year. All right. Best limited release. We have Azrael, Frankie Frico, Freaky Tales, Getaway, and Little Bites. This one is both harder and easier. I've only seen Azrael, Getaway, and Little Bites. I've not seen Frankie Frico or Freaky Tales, so this is really kind of on that border of should I vote in it, should I not vote in it? But, well, if Congress can vote on bills without actually reading them, I guess I could vote in this category without actually having seen them all. Getaway was fun, although it was a little too Wicker Man esque, and I wasn't a fan of the twist. Little Bites was all right. Azrael was really cool though. Really cool world building. The post apocalypse where it's not quite a quiet place, but it's almost a quiet place. Also, love Samara Weaving. She's amazing and everything. So let's go with Azrael. Best streaming premiere. Best wishes to all, Cannibal Mukbang, Gazer, Mr. Crockett. There's a zombie outside. All right, let me be a terrible horror YouTuber and inform you all that I've only seen one of these, and I haven't even I heard of Best Wishes to All. I heard of Cannibal Mukbang. What is Gazer and there's a zombie outside? I've only seen one. I liked Mr. Crockett, but just because it's the only one I've seen on this list doesn't merit it, getting the vote. I thought we'd get further into this without me having to, sully my reputation as a diehard horror fan, but I'm gonna have to go with didn't see / skip category. Best international movie. Okay. I have seen all of these. Hmm. Cuckoo was just weird. I enjoyed it for what it was, and it's definitely one that I thought about after I left, but it wasn't quite as memorable, and its surrealism is fun when you're in the moment. Dangerous Animals was like Saw meets Jaws. That one was fun. Oddity freaked me out. The Ugly Stepsister is visceral, but I don't think I liked it as much as everyone else did. And Red Rooms, it was all right. It was all right. If I'm going with the one that affected me the most and was the most memorable, I got to go with Oddity because that one genuinely freaked me out. And I still think about that movie today. Excellent piece of folk horror. I saw it in a theater. I was fortunate to see it in the theater before it even came on Shutter, but it is streaming on Shutter if you are interested. Best first feature. Again, this Best Wishes to All Cannibal Mukbang I haven't seen, but I saw Ugly Stepsister, Blink Twice, and Mr. Crockett. For this one, I'm gonna judge it by what was the most impressive for a first feature. And as a history buff, I gotta go with Ugly Stepsister because number one, it's an amazing period piece that feels like this dark and twisted, Cinderella story almost. And I just think that's really ambitious for a first time. Blink Twice, I have thoughts on. Mr. Crockett, again, I liked it, but it had some flaws, so I'm gonna go with Ugly Stepsister. Oh my god, best lead performance. Again, it's like, hey, here's a bunch of actors who were amazing. Lily Rose Depp in Nosferatu, Willa Fitzgerald in Strange Darling, Sally Hawkins in Bring Her Back, Michael B. Jordan, 2 roles in Sinners, Micah Monroe in Longlegs, Demi Moore in The Substance, Leah Myron in Ugly Stepsister, Hunter Schafer in Cuckoo, Naomi Scott in Smile 2, and Sophie Thatcher in Companion. Oh my god, every single one of these. All right. So let's narrow it down. As much for me, this really comes down to I loved I love Sally Hawkins, but I feel like that's not a lead role. I feel like she was a supporting character. She's not the protagonist. It's really again, it's down to the vampire movies. Loved Micah Monroe and Longlegs, but she is not. Nicolas Cage is the reason that I love that movie. Not that she isn't good, but she's giving like the more grounded, straightforward performance. Naomi Scott is great in Smile too, but it's a little too similar to the first one. Willa Fitzgerald, she's great. If you haven't seen Strange Darling, it's amazing. It almost feels like a Tarantino esque thriller. This is tough because I like all of these. And Sophie Thatcher and Companion, where like she's a robot, but she spoilers, but she becomes more human and comes into her own. Ultimately, this is down to Lily Rose Depp and Michael B. Jordan. Now, Michael B. Jordan, I could go with him on the sole fact that he's playing two different characters. And I know I went with Sinners for the best wide release. If we're talking just lead performance, I gotta go with Lily Rose Depp, and I'll tell you why. She taps into like you genuinely think she's possessed, and then come to find out they didn't use any like makeup tricks or CGI on her face. She literally contorted her face in ways that disturb me still at night. So I gotta give it to her. Oh, just in case you thought the next category was going to be easier, best supporting performance, we've got Nicolas Cage, Longlegs himself, Miles Catton from Sinners, Rafe Fiennes from 28 Years Later, Hugh Grant from Heretic, David Johnson from Alien Romulus, Wunmu Mosaku from Sinners, Jack O'Connell from Sinners, so we got three people from Sinners, Margaret Qualley in The Substance, Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu, and Dan Stevens in Cuckoo. So right away, I'm gonna eliminate Dan Stevens, David Johnson, and let's eliminate them for now. Only because, like, they're good. I just, I saw better. This one's tough because I'm torn. Do I go with the most grounded performance that's subtle and realistic? Or do I go with the most over the top performance that's like just going for it and theatrical? If we're going with the grounded one, either Rafe Fiennes or Hugh Grant. I love that Hugh Grant uses his like comedic timing and like bumbling British nature to be creepy and terrifying. Rafe Fiennes is very there's a depth to his performance in like a less is more kind of way. But if we're going with like over the top, you've got it's Longlegs versus Count Orlok, both of which went like dialed it up to 11 and just went to these places. I feel like everyone's going to go for either Longlegs or Nosferatu for this. And my decision may be different when I'm finished recording this, and it may be different the next day after that, the next day after that. I want to I'm going to go with Rafe Fiennes because, again, he is truly a supporting performance in that movie in 20 Years Later. And he does so much with so little. And they're like, it's not what he says, it's what's unsaid and implied that he's able to pull off. And it's amazing he's able to do it with what little screen time he has. So come at me, but I got to go with Rafe Fiennes. Best director. Ooh, again, I love Danny Boyle, 20 Years Later, Ryan Coogler, Sinners, Robert Eggers, Nosferatu, Coralie Farge, The Substance, and Osgood Perkins, Longlegs. So if we're just judging these by how they're directed, each one of these makes brilliant choices in cinematography, in narrative, in actor performance, like everything. All these directors are amazing. Again, this is another one that it's really hard to choose. And I don't just want to go with like what's my like yes, Sinners and Sinners and Nosferatu are my favorite movies from this list, but it's who directed the best. And I feel like that's Robert Eggers' Nosferatu because every single shot in that movie looks like a beautiful painting. and just the way it draws you in, and the movie itself almost hypnotizes you the way Count Orlok does. But honestly, the other four are just as deserving. Best Screenplay. We have Scott Beck, Brian Witz for Heretic, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Coralie Farge for The Substance, Bill Heintzman and Danny Philippou in Bring Her Back, and JT Molnar for Strange Darling. As much as I enjoyed Sinners, what it does in story, its screenplay is not the thing I remember most from it. It's kind of the same with Bring Her Back. They're both great stories, but like if we're talking best screenplay, I'm looking at like which one was I like drawn in by the dialogue. Now, Strange Darling again feels very Tarantino-esque, and it makes some interesting choices. I gotta go with Heretic though. The whole movie is literally just two Mormon girls having a conversation with Hugh Grant, but you are never ever bored. The whole movie works because of the strength of its screenplay. So I'm gonna go with that one. Best cinematography. I know I gave Best Director to Nosferatu, so I feel like I have to be. 28 years later is it's shot on an iPhone, and that's amazing. But Sinners did so much with IMAX and just the way it changed the aspect ratio depending on the scene. So I have to go with that. Best score. Ooh. Hmm. Now this one's tough because I don't have like all of the scores in front of me right now. Um I'm actually going to make an unpopular decision. I'm going to skip this category only because I'm not sitting here listening to each one to like really. And while they're all great, none of them were like, oh wow, I really like this musical piece in this movie. So I'm going to skip this one just, I think, out of fairness. Best costume design. Ooh, do we go with the 1930s design of Sinners, where apparently half the costumes were bought from Marvel for their unmade Blade movie they're still never going to do? Nosferatu, Elisepsis. I love how these are all period pieces except for one, but the substance, it does a lot. Is it even fair to nominate that one since they're naked for most of it? That's a joke. That's a joke. Hmm. I actually. The costumes are great in all these movies, but they're all trying to recreate an era that already existed. I think I'm gonna go with. Hmm. Who had the best costumes? I think I'm gonna go with Nosferatu just because of the way Robert Eggers used the costumes as part of the story themselves. And I think he did a lot with that. Best makeup. We have Long Legs, 20 Years Later, Nosferatu, Terrifier 3, The Substance. Again, any one of these deserves to win this. Just it's amazing whether we're talking, changing Nicolas Cage, what he looks like in Long Legs, or just the blood and the gore of 28 years later, making Count Orlok and Nosferatu, everything about Terrifier 3, and then the substance, just, the monster at the end. I'm actually going to go with Terrifier 3 because it went so over the top with its gore, and I feel bad because I'm not seeing it really anywhere else. So I'm going to give it to that. Come at me. Best creature effects. Oddity, The Substance, Alien Romulus, Smile 2, or Werewolves. So if we're talking who had see, they all had really good disturbing makeup. Werewolf, I do love a good werewolf movie. Alien Romulus, I feel is unfair because, like, yes, they're great effects, but they're xenomorphs. Like, it wasn't a new design they made. I'm gonna go with the substance just because of that like monstrosity she turns to at the end is just amazing, and I love that the movie went that far and that hard with it. Best documentary feature. I have only seen one of these, Doc of Chucky. I highly recommend it, but I've only seen the one, so skip. Best nonfiction series or mini series. Dracula, Horror's Greatest, Last Drive-In, or Svengoolie. I know Joe Bob always wins this because he has all the best fans. I'm actually gonna go with Horror's Greatest because I love a good deep dive like into the horror genre, and that's what that one was. Whereas I think the other one, I mean, Dragula's like a competition show, but I feel like Joe Bob and Svengoolie like they're horror hosts, and it feels like a different category. So I'm gonna go with Horror's Greatest. Best series: The Creep Tapes, Last of Us, Yellow Jackets, From, and Squid Game. I would go with the Creep Tapes, but I've actually only seen Creep Tapes and Last of Us, so by my own rule, the majority I haven't watched Yellow Jackets from or Squid Game, so I gotta skip. Best video game, I don't play video games, so just I don't know anything about any of these. Best public domain Resurrection. Which ones have I seen? I've seen Mousetrap, Screamboat, and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. I've only seen half of these. This is just a silly category, though. I don't really care about not having seen a majority. And Screamboat was the only one that I think actually felt like there was love and care for that source material in doing it. So I'm going to go with that. And finally, best kill. I tell them. Whew, best kill. Do I go with the chainsaw going up the guy's butt in Terrifier 3? Do I go with there was a lot of good kills this year. Do I go with hmm you know what? As much as I love Terrifier 3, the one that stuck with me the most was actually Long Legs. Long Legs, the scene where Long Legs bashes his face into the table, if I can remember how to spell. Because that's the one that was the most visceral and I think stuck with me the most. I am not a robot. All right, I have my ballot. Let's submit. And then if you like this video, maybe I'll do another one when they actually release it and compare like how did my votes compare with, how right was I? Well, that was a lot of fun. I certainly haven't seen as much as I thought I had this year, and I certainly wasn't prepared to make so many very difficult choices. But I stand by those choices at risk of incurring the wrath of the internet. Come at me. It's what YouTube is for. But I had a lot of fun with this. I hope you did too. Let me know in the comments, which ones do you agree, disagree with? Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up stuck in my place. No, not stuck in one of these horror movies, but stuck in a place where you have a lot of awesome choices and can't make a decision on which one's the best, especially the supporting actor one, because oh my god, every single one of them was amazing. And as always, every day is Halloween.